Hi gang, I'm glad you're all here. Thank you very much for joining me. At 1:51 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, there was a magnitude 4.1 earthquake along the San Andreas Fault Zone. This earthquake was about 3 miles below sea level. All earthquakes are measured from sea level. And USGS gave it an intensity level of 4. We have a lot of new followers here. So a lot of them probably don't know that any earthquake has a 20% chance of being a foreshock for something much larger. Intensity level 4 means during the day it would have been felt by many who are inside. If they were outside, maybe by a few. At night, some would have been awakened. Dishes, windows, doors would have rattled. Walls make a creaking noise, the sensation like a heavy truck striking a building. And you might have noticed automobiles that were parked were rocking. A little more than 12 miles southwest where this earthquake occurred, one report sent in to EMSC said the house rattled for a few seconds. 19 miles south in Greenfield, it says here he felt like a brief jolt. In Monterey, about 37 miles west from where this earthquake occurred, they evidently were sitting on their bed and they felt the light shake. Another one, Twin Lakes, 79 kilometers or 49 miles northwest, said the bed and windows shook a bit, but they were the only one in the house that felt it, or even noticed the windows shaking, I guess. In Santa Cruz, about 52 miles northwest, they said their bed shook, but nothing fell off the walls or off the counters, things like that. Using Google Earth, here's the location of that earthquake. This section of the San Andreas Fault Zone they call the creep zone, moving very slow, about 21 to 26 millimeters a year. Now currently we're going through the effects of a solar storm. It's been up to KP index of 6, and in other reports I've talked about how solar storms can affect fault lines, have earthquakes if they're ready to go, cause a volcano to erupt, create adverse weather, and they even make magnetic mines explode if it's a large solar storm or a CME that blasted off the sun, such as a index of X, what they call X, an X solar flare that could have erupted off the sun. But luckily, this one was relatively small, but it was a long duration. Wasn't just one quick pop, meaning that we're going to have the effects from the particles impacting our Earth for a little bit of time, a lengthier time than, say, other CMEs, coronal mass ejections. Geologists believe that this section of the San Andreas Fault, the earthquakes actually relieve the pressure, supposedly so that a large one will not happen in the future. Since this is now impacting the Earth, there's been a lot of earthquakes around the world. Here you can see Indonesia had a 6.6. The Philippines had a 6.4. This is the one for there along the San Andreas Fault Zone. I'm just picking out the ones that had felt reports sent into EMSC. Here we got one in western Turkey, a 3.5. Another one near the coast of Turkey, a 3.7. This area of creep extends from San Juan Bautista all the way down to Parkfield. Recently, too, they found out that the creep isn't one slow, continuous creep, but comes in bouts of earthquakes, which then can put more pressure, stress on the northern section of the San Andreas Fault Zone and on the southern section of the San Andreas Fault Zone. This creep zone, like I said, is about 80 miles long, and then down here we have the segment for the Parkfield area. Another interesting thing about this magnitude 4.1 was that the fault zone did not move either north or south. Normally this section moves south, but we have spreading. The first wave of the earthquake came from the north. Tension was applied going east, and you can see how we got spreading here, but we really don't have much of a dip, an indication of which direction the fault zone moved. Here's all the earthquakes within the last 24 hours that USGS has posted, and there is 5. There's been a 1.9 since the 4.1. That was 5.8 kilometers in depth, which is about 3.6 miles in depth. The 4.1 was 6.2 kilometers, so that would be about 3.8 miles below sea level. Before that, there was a 2.1. Now that one was not only shallow at about 2.3 miles, but about 14 hours before the 4.1, give or take a half an hour. Now there was a magnitude 1.3, and you notice it says minus 0.3 kilometers in depth, which means it occurred above sea level. Of the total 5 earthquakes within the last 24 hours, this is the only one that they have the moment tensor ball. This is like looking straight down onto the earth. Yeah, and it's interesting that we got spreading. USGS doesn't ever post what the people sent in about the effects of the earthquake. We got one here in Oakland, San Francisco one, San Jose 1, Felton 2, another 7 from Felton, Santa Cruz 4, Hollister 1, another 6 from Hollister, depending on the location, Marina 2, Monterey 1, Carmel 1, another one from Carmel, and King City, there was 3. I'm not going to show all of them, but we'll zoom in and yeah, and Piscinas, California, there was 3 responses there. I'm just going for the darker one, Soledad 1. So did you feel this earthquake? If so, please put those comments down below. If you have any questions, please put those down below. Thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you very much for your support. Please thumbs up my videos. And once again, thank you for taking your time to watch. Please stay safe, and I'll talk to you later. God bless y'all.